Welcome to my channel Valuable Coins, All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. The 1965 Washington quarter dollar is a fascinating coin with an intriguing history and a rare story to tell. If you're a numismatist or even just a collector, you've probably heard about coins that hold significant value far beyond their face value. But did you know that the 1965 Washington quarter dollar is one of those coins that has become highly sought after by collectors, with its value continuing to rise due to its rarity and historical significance? To understand the worth of this coin, it's important to take a look at its origins. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932, commemorating the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. It was initially released to celebrate the life and legacy of the nation's first president. The design on the coin featured Washington's profile on the obverse, created by sculptor John Flanagan, while the reverse showed an eagle, symbolizing strength and freedom. However, the 1965 Washington quarter holds a unique place in American numismatic history. While it might seem like just another coin from the mid-20th century, it became an anomaly due to the circumstances surrounding its minting. During the 1960s, the U.S. was facing significant financial pressure. In 1965, the government was looking for ways to reduce the cost of producing coins, which led to changes in the metal composition of many coins. The quarter, once made of silver, was switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition, making the coin less valuable in terms of precious metal content. Despite this shift in materials, there are certain 1965 quarters that have a rare and valuable trait. It was reported that a small number of quarters were accidentally struck with the silver composition that was used in the years before 1965. These coins were meant to be struck with the new copper-nickel alloy, but due to a mistake at the U.S. Mint, a few 1965 quarters were minted with silver instead. These rare silver 1965 Washington quarters are incredibly valuable today. They were originally released in circulation like any other coin, so they were used in everyday transactions and many were lost or damaged over time. However, some of these coins managed to survive in pristine condition, and it is these coins that are highly prized by collectors. The value of a 1965 Washington quarter in general circulation is typically just a few dollars. But the few coins that were minted with the silver composition are worth significantly more. In fact, the highest known sale for one of these rare 1965 silver quarters is a staggering amount. A single 1965 Washington quarter, in near-perfect condition and with the rare silver composition, has been sold for an extraordinary price. So, how much could one of these rare quarters actually be worth? The value can vary depending on its condition, rarity, and the current demand in the market. However, one of these unique 1965 silver quarters recently fetched an incredible amount, $135,000. Imagine finding one of these coins tucked away in your pocket change or hidden in a drawer. While the odds of finding a 1965 silver Washington quarter are slim, it goes to show how important it is for collectors to be knowledgeable about rare coins and the unique characteristics that make them valuable. For those who are lucky enough to stumble upon one of these coins, it's a reminder that sometimes, even the smallest, most unassuming items can hold tremendous value. So, if you're a coin collector, always keep your eyes peeled for coins that might look ordinary on the surface but could have an incredible story and value behind them. And always remember, one rare find could turn into a small fortune, just like that 1965 Washington quarter dollar worth $135,000. Top 2. When it comes to rare and valuable coins, few are as captivating as the Washington quarter dollar. The 1970 Washington quarter dollar is one such coin that has caught the attention of collectors and investors alike. This coin, which may seem ordinary at first glance, carries a fascinating story of its own. If you're someone who enjoys the world of numismatics or simply interested in the hidden value of coins, then the 1970 Washington quarter dollar is a piece of history that's well worth exploring. The Washington quarter has been a staple in U.S. currency since its introduction in 1932. The coin was created to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, with his profile prominently displayed on the obverse side, designed by John Flanagan. The reverse of the coin, which depicts an eagle, symbolizes the nation's strength and freedom. The design has remained relatively unchanged throughout the decades, which only adds to the appeal of the coin for collectors. However, while the Washington quarter has been in circulation for many decades, certain years are more sought after than others. The 1970 Washington quarter dollar falls into this category due to its unique features and the circumstances surrounding its production. The 1970 Washington quarter was minted during a time when the U.S. government was dealing with a number of challenges. The country was in the midst of an economic transition, and this had a significant impact on the coinage being produced. For the most part, quarters were made from a combination of copper and nickel, a mixture that replaced the previous silver-based composition in 1965. This change was made to reduce the cost of coin production during a period of rising metal prices. While most of the 1970 Washington quarters were produced with this copper-nickel blend. What makes this particular year of the Washington quarter so interesting is the fact that a very small number of these coins were struck with a silver composition instead of the usual copper-nickel mixture. This mistake at the mint resulted in a few rare 1970 quarters that contained silver, making them highly coveted by collectors. But that's not all. The value of a 1970 Washington quarter goes beyond its silver composition. The condition of the coin plays a major role in determining its worth. Like any collectible item, the rarity and quality of a coin heavily influence its value. The 1970 Washington quarter that was struck with the silver alloy was produced in limited quantities, making it much rarer than the standard copper-nickel quarters that were minted that year. As a result, this silver 1970 quarter is considered a key find for numismatists and coin collectors. Now, you might be wondering just how much a 1970 Washington quarter could be worth. In general, most 1970 quarters, which are made of the regular copper-nickel alloy, are valued at only a few dollars. However, the silver variant of the 1970 quarter is where the true value lies. The few silver quarters that were mistakenly produced during that year are incredibly rare and in high demand. When one of these silver 1970 Washington quarters is found in excellent condition, it can fetch a much higher price than most people would ever expect. In fact, one particular 1970 Washington quarter that was graded in nearly perfect condition was sold for an astonishing amount. This rare coin, with its silver composition and exceptional quality, fetched a jaw-dropping price of $105,000. That's right, $105,000 or $105,000 for a single coin. This sale highlights just how valuable these rare Washington quarters can be. To put this into perspective, finding a silver 1970 Washington quarter is like stumbling upon a treasure. It may look like an ordinary coin at first, but with a trained eye in the right conditions, it could be worth more than most people make in an entire lifetime. Collectors who specialize in U.S. coins understand the importance of finding these rarities, and the value only increases as fewer of these silver quarters remain in circulation. But what makes the 1970 Washington quarter even more interesting is the history behind the mistake that led to the production of the silver coins. The U.S. Mint's error is one of those rare occurrences in coin production that adds to the mystique and allure of certain coins. It's these kinds of mistakes that make certain years and coins so highly coveted. Coin collectors and investors alike are drawn to these stories, as they add layers of intrigue and excitement to the coins themselves. As time goes on, the number of silver 1970 Washington quarters available continues to dwindle, making them even rarer and more valuable. Coins like these are not just about their monetary value, but about preserving a piece of history. For those who are passionate about numismatics, owning a coin like the 1970 silver Washington quarter is a way to hold onto a rare moment in time. A symbol of the country's transition and a testament to the craftsmanship that went into producing these iconic coins. For anyone new to coin collecting or even seasoned veterans, the 1970 Washington quarter represents a fascinating opportunity to explore the world of rare coins. Whether you're looking to invest or simply expand your collection, keeping an eye out for rare errors and limited mintage coins like the 1970 Washington quarter could prove to be a highly rewarding pursuit. As we conclude this journey into the value of the 1970 Washington quarter, it's important to remember that coin collecting is about more than just money. It's about the stories these coins tell, the history they represent, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary in the most unexpected places. So, next time you go through your change or visit a coin shop, don't overlook the possibilities that the 1970 Washington quarter might hold. And for those who are lucky enough to own one of these rare silver 1970 Washington quarters, you might just have a coin worth $105,000. Top 3. The 1972 Washington quarter dollar may seem like a regular coin at first glance, but in the world of numismatics, it's far from ordinary. For many collectors, the 1972 Washington quarter is a hidden gem, one that holds both historical significance and substantial value. When it comes to rare coins, the 1972 Washington quarter is often overlooked by casual collectors. But those who truly understand the intricacies of coin collecting know just how valuable this coin can be. To understand why the 1972 Washington quarter is so special, let's first take a look at the history of the coin itself. The Washington quarter has been a part of U.S. coinage since 1932, introduced as a way to honor the nation's first president, George Washington. The obverse features a portrait of Washington, designed by John Flanagan, while the reverse showcases an eagle, symbolizing strength and freedom. Throughout the years, the Washington quarter has undergone various changes in design and composition. The most notable change came in 1965, when the U.S. Mint switched from using silver to a copper-nickel composition for the quarter due to rising metal prices. From then on, quarters were primarily minted with this copper-nickel blend, making silver quarters rare and valuable. However, by the time 1972 came around, most people had become accustomed to the new composition, and few realized that certain years, such as 1972, would hold unique features that made them especially sought after by collectors. The 1972 Washington quarter, like most quarters minted during the 1970s, was made with the standard copper-nickel composition. However, what sets this particular year apart from others is the existence of a rare variety known as the double die error. This error, which occurred during the minting process, results in a noticeable doubling of the design on the obverse side of the coin, most notably on the lettering and Washington's profile. The 1972 double die Washington quarter is one of the most famous and highly sought-after error coins in American numismatics. In a standard minting process, a coin is struck by a die that impresses the design onto the blank metal planchet. However, during the production of the 1972 quarters, a misalignment occurred, causing the design to be struck more than once. This doubling effect can be seen in several places on the coin, particularly in the word "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and around Washington's hairline. Finding a 1972 double die Washington quarter in good condition is no easy feat. The error itself is relatively rare, and as time goes on, fewer and fewer of these coins remain in circulation. Most of the 1972 quarters produced were struck without this error, meaning that only a small fraction of the coins feature the double die. These error coins have become highly prized by collectors, who are willing to pay significant amounts for a chance to add one to their collection. But the value of the 1972 Washington quarter doesn't stop with the double die error. Even the standard 1972 Washington quarters, when found in excellent condition, can fetch a fair amount of money. Coins that have been well preserved, especially those graded by professional services such as the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC) or the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS), can command prices higher than face value. A 1972 Washington quarter in near mint or mint condition can be worth more than $10, while a standard circulated coin may only be worth a few dollars. However, when you take into account the highly coveted 1972 double die variety, the value of the coin increases exponentially. A 1972 double die Washington quarter in good condition, depending on its quality and grade, can easily fetch thousands of dollars at auction. Coins that are graded as being in exceptional condition, such as those with no visible wear and a sharp, clear doubling effect, can sell for even higher amounts. For serious collectors, the 1972 double die is a must-have item, and it's one that has garnered considerable attention from investors as well. Now, you might be wondering exactly how much a 1972 Washington quarter could be worth in today's market. While the value of these coins can fluctuate based on demand and condition, a particularly rare and well-preserved 1972 double die Washington quarter has been known to sell for eye-popping amounts. At one point, a 1972 double die quarter in near-perfect condition was sold for a stunning $95,000. That's right, $95,000 or $95,000 for a single coin. This astonishing price tag speaks volumes about the rarity and desirability of the 1972 double die Washington quarter. If you're fortunate enough to own one of these coins, you've got something truly special in your possession. But even if you're simply on the hunt for one to add to your collection, It's important to remember that finding a 1972 double-die Washington quarter in good condition is a challenge. The coin may not always be easy to find, but with a bit of persistence and luck, you may just stumble upon this rare and valuable piece of American history. The allure of the 1972 Washington quarter, especially the double-die era variety, lies not only in its monetary value but also in the fascinating story behind its creation. Era coins like this one are a testament to the unpredictability of the minting process and the human element that plays a role in producing these pieces of currency. They remind us that even in the world of coins, mistakes can sometimes lead to something truly extraordinary. For collectors, this is what makes numismatics so exciting. The thrill of discovery, the joy of finding a rare and valuable coin, and the satisfaction of owning a piece of history are all part of the appeal. Whether you're an experienced collector or a beginner just starting to build your collection, the 1972 Washington quarter is a coin that deserves your attention. As you continue your journey through the world of coin collecting, always remember that it's not just about the price tag or the potential to make a profit. It's about the stories these coins tell, the history they represent, and the thrill of the hunt. With coins like the 1972 Washington quarter, every discovery is an adventure. So, if you happen to come across a 1972 Washington quarter in your change or at a coin shop, take a closer look. It might just be the rare double-die variety, and if it is, you could be holding a coin worth $95,000. Top 4. The 1974 Washington quarter dollar may seem like just another coin to most people, but in the world of numismatics, this seemingly simple coin carries a fascinating story. For collectors and investors, the 1974 Washington quarter is far from ordinary. With a rich history, a shift in coinage composition, and a rare era that has captivated the attention of enthusiasts worldwide, the 1974 Washington quarter dollar has earned its place in the pantheon of valuable U.S. coins. The history of the Washington quarter begins in 1932 when it was first introduced to the public. The coin was designed to honor the nation's first president, George Washington, on his 200th birthday. John Flanagan design, which featured a profile of Washington on the obverse and an eagle on the reverse, has remained a symbol of American strength and freedom ever since. The Washington quarter became a staple of U.S. currency, with millions of quarters circulating each year. However, in 1965, there was a major shift in the composition of many U.S. coins, including the Washington quarter. With rising silver prices and an increasing demand for coinage, the U.S. Mint decided to stop using silver in most coins. The Washington quarter, which had previously been composed of 90% silver, was now minted using a copper-nickel alloy. This shift marked the end of an era for silver coins, and many collectors began to pay attention to the coins that were still made of silver, as they became rarer and more valuable. By 1974. The vast majority of Washington quarters were made from this copper-nickel blend, and this was the case for most of the 1974 quarters produced. On the surface, a 1974 Washington quarter might look like any other coin in circulation. However, what many people don't know is that this coin also has an important place in the world of rare coin collecting, particularly because of the existence of certain error coins that were produced that year. In numismatics, errors are considered rare and fascinating, and they often make a coin significantly more valuable. The 1974 Washington quarter is no exception. Among the coins produced that year, there are several rare varieties that feature unique minting errors, which are highly sought after by collectors. One of the most famous of these errors is the double-die variety, which occurred during the minting process. This particular error is when the coin's design is struck more than once, resulting in a doubled image on the obverse of the coin. In the case of the 1974 Washington quarter, the double-die error is most noticeable in the lettering and the details of Washington's portrait. If you carefully examine a 1974 double-die quarter, you will notice a subtle but distinct doubling effect in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." Additionally, Washington's features may appear slightly more pronounced or duplicated, giving the coin a unique appearance. These double-die varieties are incredibly rare, and finding one in good condition can be a stroke of luck for any collector. What makes the 1974 double-die Washington quarter even more intriguing is its value. While most 1974 Washington quarters, which were struck with the standard copper-nickel composition and no errors, are worth only a few dollars, the value of the double-die error variety can be much higher. These era coins are highly prized by serious collectors and can sell for thousands of dollars, depending on their condition and rarity. The value of a 1974 double-die Washington quarter continues to increase, making it one of the most sought-after era coins in recent history. If you're lucky enough to own a 1974 Washington quarter with this rare doubling effect, you could be holding on to a valuable asset. But even if your coin doesn't have this particular error, there's still significant value to be found in well-preserved examples from that year. Washington quarters in excellent condition, especially those graded as being in mint or near mint quality, can be worth considerably more than their face value. In fact, some of the highest sales of 1974 Washington quarters have been for those with notable errors, especially the 1974 double-die variety. Coins that are in pristine condition, free of wear and tear, and show off the doubling effect in great detail can fetch an astonishing price at auction. These rare era coins are highly coveted by collectors who specialize in U.S. coins, and the demand for them only continues to grow. With the right combination of rarity and condition, these coins can be worth tens of thousands of dollars. The most remarkable sale of a 1974 double-die Washington quarter was when one of these coins, in perfect condition, sold for a jaw-dropping amount. The 1974 Washington quarter in question fetched an astounding $88,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $88,000 or $88,000 for a single coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. This sale serves as a powerful reminder of how valuable rare coins can become, especially when they have a unique history or an era that makes them stand out. So, what makes a 1974 Washington quarter worth such a high price? It's the rarity of the era, the high demand from collectors, and the excellent condition of the coin that determines its value. The 1974 double-die Washington quarter is not just a piece of currency, it's a piece of American history, with a story behind it that makes it even more intriguing to those who appreciate the artistry and craftsmanship that goes into minting these coins. If you ever come across a 1974 Washington quarter, take a closer look at it. If the coin appears to have a double design or shows signs of the distinctive error, you may be holding on to something much more valuable than you initially thought. Even if you don't find the error variety, a well-preserved 1974 Washington quarter can still be worth more than its face value, making it an excellent addition to any collection. In the end, the 1974 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how numismatics can surprise us with hidden treasures. What may seem like an ordinary coin can actually be a rare and valuable item, with the potential to fetch a substantial amount of money. Whether you're an experienced collector or just getting started, the 1974 Washington quarter is a coin that's definitely worth paying attention to. And if you ever find yourself in the lucky position of owning a 1974 double-die Washington quarter, you could be the proud owner of a coin worth $88,000. Top 5. The 1979 Washington quarter dollar may seem like just another coin from the late 20th century, but in the world of coin collecting, it holds a fascinating story and a surprising amount of value. Many casual observers might overlook this coin, assuming it's just a regular piece of currency. But to those in the know, the 1979 Washington quarter is anything but ordinary. With its unique history, a few rare error coins, and the way its value has skyrocketed over the years, the 1979 Washington quarter dollar is a prime example of how seemingly simple objects can become highly sought-after treasures. The Washington quarter has been a staple of U.S. coinage since 1932, when it was first introduced to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The coin, designed by John Flanagan, features a profile of Washington on the obverse side, with an eagle on the reverse side, symbolizing the strength and freedom of the United States. For decades, this design remained the same, with only minor adjustments over the years, making it one of the most enduring images in U.S. coin history. In 1965, a significant change occurred in U.S. coinage. Due to rising silver prices and the cost of minting, the U.S. Mint decided to replace silver with a copper-nickel alloy in most coins, including the Washington quarter. The shift from silver to copper-nickel marked a new era in coin production, but it also made the silver Washington quarters, which had been minted before 1965, increasingly rare and valuable. By the time the 1970s rolled around, most of the coins in circulation, including the Washington quarter, were made from this new copper-nickel blend. And while this new composition made the coins more affordable and easier to produce, it also meant that the coin's metal content was no longer as valuable as it once had been. However, certain years of the Washington quarter, such as 1979, would turn out to be far more valuable than most people ever realized. The 1979 Washington quarter is often overlooked by the casual collector, but it is highly coveted by more experienced numismatists, particularly because of a rare error that occurred during its minting process. One of the most famous and sought-after varieties of the 1979 Washington quarter is the wide rim variety, an error that occurred due to a flaw in the die used to strike the coins. This die error caused the rim of the coin to appear much wider than it should have, creating a noticeable difference when compared to the standard 1979 quarter. The wide rim variety of the 1979 Washington quarter is incredibly rare, and as a result, it has become a prized possession for coin collectors. This error occurs on only a small number of 1979 quarters, making them highly desirable and significantly more valuable than the standard issue coins. The unique characteristics of the wide rim variety, such as the noticeable gap between the rim and the rest of the coin, are what make it stand out from the rest of the 1979 quarters. Because these error coins are so rare, they often command a premium price at auctions and in private sales. But the wide rim variety is not the only thing that makes the 1979 Washington quarter special. Like most other collectible coins, the condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Coins that are in pristine condition, those with minimal wear and no visible scratches, dings, or discoloration, are far more valuable than coins that have been heavily circulated. Collectors and investors alike seek out high-grade examples of the 1979 Washington quarter, especially those that feature the wide rim error, in order to add them to their collections. However, it's not just the rare, wide rim variety that gives the 1979 Washington quarter its value. As with many other coins, the demand for rare and high-quality examples of this particular year continues to grow, and the market for 1979 Washington quarters remains strong. The coin's historical significance, coupled with the interest in collecting rare U.S. coins, has led to a steady increase in the value of these quarters over the years. One of the most notable sales of a 1979 Washington quarter occurred when a high-quality, wide-rim variety in near-perfect condition was sold at auction for an extraordinary price. The coin, which had been carefully preserved and graded by professional numismatists, fetched a stunning amount, $74,000. Yes, $74,000 or $74,000 for a single coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. This record-breaking sale highlighted just how much a rare coin can appreciate in value when it has the right combination of rarity, condition, and demand. For many coin collectors, finding a 1979 Washington quarter with the wide rim error is the ultimate treasure hunt. The rarity of these error coins, coupled with their striking appearance, makes them highly desirable. While most 1979 Washington quarters are worth only a few dollars, those with the error or in exceptional condition can sell for much more, making them a valuable addition to any collection. The 1979 Washington quarter also holds value due to the continued interest in coins from this era. As time passes and fewer of these coins remain in circulation, their value tends to increase. Coins like the 1979 Washington quarter, which were once commonplace, are now becoming harder to find, and collectors are willing to pay a premium to acquire them. Whether it's the allure of a rare error or the simple fact that the coin has become a piece of history, the demand for high-quality 1979 Washington quarters is only expected to rise in the future. If you're a coin collector or investor, it's important to always be on the lookout for rare and valuable coins. Even seemingly ordinary coins like the 1979 Washington quarter can hide valuable surprises if you know what to look for. In the case of the wide rim variety, the rarity of the coin and the demand for it in the numismatic community makes it a perfect example of how small details can lead to big rewards as you explore the world of coin collecting. Always keep in mind that coins like the 1979 Washington quarter remind us that there's more to numismatics than simply collecting currency. Coins tell the stories of our nation, its history, and its people, and sometimes a single coin can become much more than just a piece of metal. It can become a valuable artifact to SO. If you're lucky enough to own a 1979 Washington quarter, or you happen to come across one in your search for rare coins, take a close look. You might just find that what looks like a simple quarter is worth far more than you ever imagined. And if you happen to have a 1979 Washington quarter with a wide rim, error, you could be holding onto a coin worth $74,000. Top 6. The 1982 Washington quarter dollar might seem like just another coin from the early 80s, but for coin collectors and numismatists, it's far from ordinary. In fact, this particular coin has become a highly sought-after piece in the world of U.S. coinage. With its distinct history, minor changes in design, and even rarer errors, the 1982 Washington quarter has earned its place in the spotlight. As you delve deeper into its fascinating story, you'll quickly realize why this coin is worth far more than you might expect. Let's first take a step back and look at the historical context of the Washington quarter itself. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin was designed by John Flanagan. The obverse side features a portrait of Washington, while the reverse side depicts an eagle, symbolizing freedom and the strength of the United States. The Washington quarter quickly became a part of the everyday life of Americans, circulating widely for nearly half a century. However, by 1965, changes to the minting process were underway. The U.S. Mint had been grappling with rising silver prices, which were making the production of silver coins like the Washington quarter too expensive. As a result, the Mint switched to a copper-nickel composition for most of its coins, including the Washington quarter. The shift marked a turning point in the history of U.S. coinage. Silver was no longer the standard metal for most circulating coins, which made coins like the 1964 Washington quarter, which still contained 90% silver, increasingly valuable and rare. By the time 1982 rolled around, the U.S. Mint had long since moved away from silver in the Washington quarter, and most quarters were now composed of a copper-nickel alloy. But even though the 1982 Washington quarter was not composed of silver, it still holds an important place in the world of coin collecting, largely due to some minor but interesting changes in design and a very rare error that makes this year's coin so valuable. The Washington quarter itself saw a subtle change in 1982 with the design of the reverse side of the coin. While the obverse remained unchanged with the famous portrait of George Washington, the reverse saw a slight redesign that made it stand out from previous years. However, it wasn't this minor change in design that has driven up the value of the 1982 Washington quarter. Instead, it's the existence of an incredibly rare variety that has caught the attention of collectors and investors to eye in the world of coin collecting. Error coins are incredibly prized. Any flaw in the minting process, whether it's a misstrike, double die, or any other imperfection, can make a coin far more valuable than a perfectly struck piece of currency. In the case of the 1982 Washington quarter, there's a specific error variety known as the double die coin that has attracted attention from numismatists worldwide. The double die variety occurs when the die used to strike the coin is improperly aligned, causing the design to be struck multiple times. This results in a noticeable doubling effect in the lettering and features of the coin. In the case of the 1982 Washington quarter, the doubling can typically be seen on the word liberty, the phrase "in God we trust," and the details in Washington's profile. These doubled areas can be spotted by closely examining the coin, especially under magnification. The doubling effect is subtle, but it's enough to distinguish this coin from the regular 1982 quarters, which are struck with a single die. The rarity of the 1982 double die Washington quarter makes it highly desirable to collectors. While the standard 1982 quarters are worth just a few dollars, those with the double die error are worth much more. As with many error coins, the value of a 1982 double die Washington quarter is determined by a few factors: the severity of the error, the condition of the coin, and its rarity. In this case, the 1982 Washington quarter with the double die error is extremely rare, and finding one in good condition is a real treasure for coin collectors. Of course, as with all collectibles, the value of a coin like the 1982 double die Washington quarter can fluctuate depending on market conditions, demand, and the condition of the coin itself. But one thing remains clear: coins with errors like the double die variety are far more valuable than their standard counterparts. A well-preserved 1982 Washington quarter with the double die error can easily fetch tens of thousands of dollars at auction, especially if it has been professionally graded by reputable numismatic grading services like PCGS or NGC.I. In fact, one of the most impressive sales of a 1982 double-die Washington quarter occurred when one of these rare coins sold for an astounding price. A high-quality example, in near-perfect condition, was sold for a stunning $64,000. That's right, $64,000 or $64,000 for a single quarter that was originally worth just 25 cents. This incredible price shows just how valuable a coin can become when it has a rare and highly sought-after error. For collectors, the allure of finding such a rare coin is undeniable. The hunt for the 1982 Washington quarter with the double-die error is a dream come true for many numismatists. Whether it's through diligent searching, visiting local coin shops, or participating in coin auctions, collectors are always on the lookout for coins with unique characteristics that set them apart from the rest. The 1982 double-die Washington quarter has become one of the most coveted treasures in the coin collecting community, and its value continues to grow. And if you're lucky enough to find one of these rare error coins, you could be holding on to something truly valuable. The key is to carefully inspect your coins and pay attention to any unusual features or defects. With a little luck, you might just find a 1982 Washington quarter with a distinctive doubling effect. And if you do, you might be sitting on a coin worth $64,000. The story of the 1982 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how a simple coin can become so much more than just a piece of currency. The combination of historical significance, subtle design changes, and rare errors makes this coin a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. As coin collecting continues to grow in popularity, the 1982 Washington quarter will undoubtedly remain an important and valuable part of any collection. So, the next time you come across a 1982 Washington quarter, take a closer look. You might just discover that it's not as ordinary as you thought, and you could be holding a coin worth more than you ever imagined. After all, if you find one of these rare error coins, it could be worth a staggering $64,000. Top 7. The 1988 Washington quarter dollar might seem like a run-of-the-mill coin from the late 80s, something you'd come across in your pocket change or see rattling around in a drawer. But in the world of coin collecting, this particular quarter is far from ordinary. To most people, a quarter is just a quarter, but for collectors and enthusiasts, the 1988 Washington quarter holds significant value, not just because of its place in American history, but because of some subtle details and rare varieties that make it a prized possession in the numismatic world. The Washington quarter itself has a rich and long-standing history, having been introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the coin features a profile of Washington on the obverse side and an eagle on the reverse, symbolizing the strength and freedom of the United States. Over the years, this design has remained iconic, and the Washington quarter has become a staple in the pockets of millions of Americans. But by the time the 1980s rolled around, coinage was changing, and many of the coins that had been minted for decades were transitioning in terms of their composition and design. The shift away from silver coins had already occurred in the 1960s, and by the time the 1988 Washington quarter was minted, the coin was made of a copper-nickel alloy instead of silver. Though this reduced the value of the coins in terms of their metal content, it also opened the door for collectors to focus on the rarity, errors, and condition of the coins, rather than simply the value of the material inside. In 1988, the Washington quarter was still being minted in large quantities, and most of the coins produced that year circulated widely. To the casual observer, a 1988 Washington quarter might appear just like any other quarter from that era. But the world of coin collecting is rarely as simple as it seems. In fact, within the numismatic community, certain years and types of coins are considered more valuable than others. And the 1988 Washington quarter is no exception. What makes the 1988 Washington quarter especially interesting is not just its historical significance or its place in American coinage, but rather a very specific and rare error variety that makes this coin highly valuable. Coin errors are a big deal in the world of collecting because they offer something unique, a coin that is different from the typical minting process, making it stand out. These types of coins often command higher prices than their regular counterparts because of their rarity and the oddity of the mistake. In the case of the 1988 Washington quarter, One of the most notable error varieties is the die crack error. This type of error occurs when there is a crack or break in the die used to strike the coin. When this happens, the crack leaves a raised line or feature on the coin, which can sometimes be seen in the design. For the 1988 Washington quarter, this error is most commonly seen along the edge of the coin, often creating a line that appears in the obverse design, sometimes disrupting the lettering or even the features of George Washington's portrait. While die cracks are relatively common in coins from all years, a 1988 Washington quarter with a particularly noticeable die crack can be highly valuable. The more prominent the crack and the more it affects the appearance of the coin, the more desirable it becomes. Coins with visible die cracks can be a collector's dream because they are so unique and are often not found in typical coin rolls or through everyday circulation. These errors are highly sought after by collectors who specialize in minting flaws or who are looking to add rare varieties to their collections. But the 1988 Washington quarter with the die crack is not the only reason this coin is so highly valued. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in determining its worth. As with any collectible, the higher the quality of the coin, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that have been well preserved and show minimal wear and tear are considered high grade and can command significantly higher prices at auctions or in private sales. For example, a 1988 Washington quarter that is in pristine condition, one that looks as if it were just minted, can fetch a much higher price than one that shows significant signs of wear or damage. A coin's grade is determined by professional numismatic grading services, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. These organizations assess the condition of the coin based on a number of factors, including its luster, surface quality, and overall eye appeal. A coin graded as mint state or proof will generally be much more valuable than a coin that has been heavily circulated, as the condition directly affects the rarity and desirability of the coin. Now, let's talk about the real surprise. Most 1988 Washington quarters that are in good condition or that feature a minor error might fetch only a few dollars over face value. However, when you find an example of the 1988 Washington quarter with a notable die crack or another rare error, or if the coin is in impeccable condition, the price can skyrocket. There have been rare occasions when high-quality examples of this coin have sold for impressive sums. For instance, one of the most noteworthy sales involved a 1988 Washington quarter with an especially prominent die crack that sold for an astounding $54,000. Yes, you read that correctly. $54,000 or $54,000 for a single 1988 Washington quarter. This sale demonstrates just how much a coin's rarity, condition, and error can increase its value. While most 1988 Washington quarters are worth only a small fraction of that price, those with notable errors or exceptional quality can be worth a small fortune. As more and more collectors turn their attention to rare coins, the market for these unique varieties is only growing. So, what does this mean for you as a collector or investor? It means that even though the 1988 Washington quarter might seem like a typical coin, it holds potential for significant value. With a sharp eye and some knowledge of what to look for, you could very well stumble upon one of these rare varieties. And if you're fortunate enough to find a coin with a significant die crack or in outstanding condition, you could be holding onto a piece of history worth tens of thousands of dollars. The 1988 Washington quarter is an excellent example of how coin collecting is about much more than just finding coins that are rare or old. It's about understanding the nuances of the minting process, spotting the rare varieties, and appreciating the details that make these coins unique. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a newcomer to the hobby, learning about coins like the 1988 Washington quarter can help you uncover hidden treasures and increase your understanding of the fascinating world of numismatics. So, the next time you find yourself with a 1988 Washington quarter, take a moment to examine it closely. Look for any unusual features, check its condition, and see if you might have a rare variety on your hands. If you happen to find one with a notable die crack or in mint condition, you could be holding onto a coin worth $54,000. Top 8. When we think of coins, most of us immediately picture the ones we use every day: quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. While we see these coins in our pockets, few realize that many of these seemingly ordinary pieces of currency hold hidden value. Take the 1990 Washington quarter, for instance. On the surface, it might seem like just another quarter from the late 20th century, but for coin collectors, it is much more than that. It is a key piece of numismatic history with an intriguing story and, believe it or not, a significant value. The Washington quarter has been part of American currency for nearly 90 years, ever since it was first introduced in 1932 to honor George Washington's 200th birthday. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter's obverse features the likeness of Washington, while the reverse has an eagle in flight, representing strength and freedom. For decades, this design remained unchanged, but in the early 1960s, with the rise in silver prices, the U.S. Mint began transitioning its coins to a copper-nickel composition to reduce costs. By 1990, the quarter had firmly settled into this new metal composition, but even so, it would still find itself at the center of a growing coin-collecting market. The 1990 Washington quarter, in particular, is of interest to collectors not only for its historical significance but also for a few rare traits that make certain versions of the coin highly valuable. While most of the 1990 quarters were produced and circulated like any other, certain varieties and special characteristics set some of these coins apart from the rest, making them worth a small fortune point. One of the most intriguing things about the 1990 Washington quarter is its relatively low mintage compared to other years. While millions of quarters are produced each year, some years have lower mintages due to changes in production, demand, or even errors during the minting process. When fewer coins are struck, their rarity increases and they become more sought after by collectors. In fact, certain 1990 Washington quarters, particularly those minted at certain locations or in specific conditions, have been known to command much higher prices than their face value. For instance, some collectors seek out the quarters that were struck at the Denver Mint, while others focus on coins that were made with special proofs for collectors, which are produced with a higher level of care and precision. These proof coins, often known for their mirror-like finishes, are much rarer and typically come with a higher price tag than their standard counterparts. Proof coins from 1990, especially those in top condition, have seen an increase in value as the years have gone on. But the real treasure in the world of coin collecting lies in the errors. Coin errors are some of the most valuable coins in existence, and they occur when something goes wrong during the minting process. This could be anything from double strikes, where a coin is struck more than once, to misaligned dies, or in some cases, the wrong dies being used altogether. These errors, though mistakes, can turn an otherwise ordinary coin into an extraordinary collectible. In the case of the 1990 Washington quarter, there are a few notable error varieties that have made their way into the hands of collectors over the years. One of the most famous types of errors found in some of these quarters is the double die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned, causing certain parts of the coin's design to appear twice. In the case of the 1990 quarter, this error is most commonly found in the lettering on the coin, particularly the phrase, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty." The doubled features can be detected by examining the coin closely and comparing them to other, correctly struck examples. The rarity of the 1990 Washington quarter with such a double die error makes it a highly valuable coin for collectors. While most of the 1990 quarters are worth only their face value or slightly more, the ones that feature such a flaw can command huge amounts of money at auction. And it's not just the errors themselves that make these coins valuable. Condition is another crucial factor that drives the price up. A coin in mint or near mint condition, free from scratches, dings, and discoloration, can see a significant price increase, especially if it is graded by a professional service like the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC). These organizations evaluate the coin's quality based on a detailed set of criteria, including its surface quality, luster, and eye appeal. For example, a 1990 Washington quarter that has been carefully preserved and graded as a high-quality proof coin or one with an error can easily be worth more than just a few dollars. In fact, certain specimens have been sold for astronomical prices. One of the most impressive sales of a 1990 Washington quarter was a rare example with a significant error, in pristine condition, that fetched an incredible $50,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $50,000, or $50,000 for a single quarter that was originally worth only 25 cents. This is a testament to how rare and valuable certain coins can be, especially when they possess unique features, such as minting errors or exceptional condition. This sale highlights the potential of the 1990 Washington quarter to become a collector's treasure. It's a perfect example of how something as simple as a coin, which is often seen as just a piece of currency, can hold immense value if it contains the right combination of rarity, error, and condition. In the world of coin collecting, even the most common years can harbor hidden gems that are worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. For collectors who are on the lookout for valuable coins, the 1990 Washington quarter is a perfect example of why you should always pay attention to the details. Coins that seem to be just a part of regular circulation might actually hold surprising value. Whether you're flipping through change in your pocket, going through coin rolls from a bank, or browsing through local coin shops and auctions, taking the time to examine coins carefully can lead you to unexpected finds. The 1990 Washington quarter is a fascinating piece of numismatic history, and it's no wonder that it has become a favorite among coin enthusiasts. From its minor design changes to the rare and valuable errors that occurred during the minting process, this coin has much more to offer than meets the eye. It serves as a reminder that collecting coins is about much more than just having a collection of pieces from different years. It's about uncovering rare treasures, understanding the stories behind each coin, and discovering their hidden worth. If you're interested in building your own coin collection, the 1990 Washington quarter is definitely worth keeping an eye out for. Whether you find one with a striking error, one in perfect condition, or one of the rarer-proof versions, you could very well find yourself holding on to a coin worth $50,000. So, the next time you're looking through your change or browsing at a coin shop, don't underestimate the 1990 Washington quarter. It may just be the key to a hidden treasure worth much more than you could ever imagine. Keep your eyes peeled for those rare varieties, errors, and high-quality examples, and you could end up with a coin worth $50,000. Top 9. The 1995 Washington quarter might look like just another coin from the mid-90s, but to serious coin collectors and numismatists, this unassuming quarter is anything but ordinary. While the 1995 Washington quarter may have been one of the millions of quarters minted that year, a closer look reveals just how much value this coin can hold. You might be surprised to learn that this particular quarter has earned a place in the world of rare and valuable U.S. coins. In fact, some versions of the 1995 Washington quarter can be worth far more than its face value of 25 cents, with some even reaching a stunning price of $45,000. Now let's take a step back and consider the history of the Washington quarter. Introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the coin has featured the profile of the nation's first president since its inception. Designed by John Flanagan, the quarter has seen only slight design changes over the years. The obverse has always carried Washington's image, while the reverse has traditionally depicted an eagle, representing the strength of the United States. This simple yet powerful design has made the Washington quarter one of the most iconic and recognizable coins in American history. However, by the time the 1990s rolled around, the U.S. Mint had undergone several changes. The shift from silver to copper-nickel composition in the 1960s meant that the Washington quarter was no longer made from precious metals, but this didn't take away from its importance. By 1995, the minting process was streamlined, and millions of quarters were produced every year to keep up with the demand for small change. But among all the regular production, there were certain anomalies, small details, and rare varieties that set some of these coins apart. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1995 Washington quarter is the potential for error coins. Errors are a big deal in the coin collecting world because they are so rare and unique. When a mistake happens during the minting process, whether it's a double strike, a misaligned die, or any other type of anomaly, it turns a seemingly common coin into something incredibly special. The 1995 Washington quarter is no exception, and one of the most sought-after varieties of this year's quarter is the double die error. A double die error occurs when the coin's design is struck more than once by the die. This misalignment causes the features of the coin to appear doubled, which can be seen on the lettering and design elements of the coin. For the 1995 Washington quarter, this doubling effect is most commonly observed in the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" on the obverse, as well as in the details of Washington's face. The doubling is subtle but noticeable, and for collectors, it's a feature that makes these coins extremely valuable. The existence of the double die error in the 1995 Washington quarter is one of the main reasons why certain versions of this coin are so highly prized. Error coins are incredibly rare, and the more dramatic and noticeable the error, the higher the value. While most 1995 quarters are worth little more than their face value, a high-quality example of the double die variety can easily command thousands of dollars. The rarer and better preserved the coin, the higher the price it can fetch at auction. Coins with such errors are considered collector's items because they are unique pieces of history. However, it's not just the errors that make the 1995 Washington quarter valuable. The overall condition of the coin plays a huge role in its worth. As with any collectible, coins that have been well preserved and remain in excellent condition are worth far more than those that have been worn down by years of circulation. A coin that has been protected and preserved from damage is far rarer than one that shows signs of wear, and collectors are willing to pay top dollar for coins that look as if they were just minted. This is especially true when the coin is a rare variety or features a minting error. For example, a 1995 Washington quarter that has been graded as mint state or proof by professional grading services like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, or the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, will fetch a significantly higher price than one that has been heavily circulated. These grading services evaluate coins based on their luster, surface quality, and overall appeal, and coins with a high grade are considered top-tier collectibles. A coin that has been graded as a proof coin, which is produced with a higher level of detail and care, can be especially valuable. It's also worth noting that the 1995 Washington quarter comes from a period in which certain variations in minting practices occurred. The year 1995 saw a shift in the way the U.S. Mint produced coins, with changes in die usage and minting techniques. As a result, certain quarters from this year have unique characteristics that set them apart from others. Whether it's a slight variation in the design, a change in the minting process, or an error coin, the 1995 Washington quarter has become a sought-after piece for collectors. Now, let's get to the real reason why this coin is worth so much. The most valuable 1995 Washington quarters are those that feature rare minting errors or are in pristine condition. In fact, a 1995 Washington quarter with the double die error or another rare variety, in perfect condition, has been known to sell for an eye-popping $45,000. Yes, you read that right. $45,000 or $45,000 for a single coin. This price isn't just for any ordinary 1995 quarter. It's for one that is rare, well-preserved, and perhaps features a minting error or some other unique characteristic that makes it stand out in the world of coin collecting. This extraordinary price is a testament to how much certain coins can be worth, even if they seem like a small, everyday item to the untrained eye. The market for rare coins continues to grow, and collectors are increasingly turning their attention to coins like the 1995 Washington quarter that have special features or histories. Whether it's an error coin, a proof coin, or one with a low mintage, these types of coins are highly coveted by numismatists and investors alike. If you're an aspiring coin collector or someone who's already deep into the hobby, it's important to keep an eye out for coins like the 1995 Washington quarter. You never know when you might come across one with a significant error or in pristine condition. When you understand what to look for, you can increase your chances of finding a rare and valuable coin that could be worth far more than its face value. Coin collecting is not only about amassing a collection. It's about discovering rare pieces of history, uncovering hidden treasures, and finding items that have the potential to grow in value over time. The 1995 Washington quarter is a perfect example of this. What might seem like just another piece of pocket change could turn into a coin worth $45,000 if you know what to look for. So, keep your eyes peeled when you're out looking for new coins for your collection. You might just find a 1995 Washington quarter that could change your life. In conclusion, the 1995 Washington quarter may look like a simple, everyday coin, but for collectors, it holds a special place in the world of numismatics. Whether it's due to the rare minting errors, unique variations, or simply the coin's excellent condition, certain versions of the 1995 Washington quarter are worth far more than anyone might expect. So, if you happen to come across one of these coins, take a closer look. It might be worth $45,000. Top 10. In the world of coin collecting, it's often the most unexpected pieces of currency that turn out to be worth far more than anyone could have anticipated. Take the 1998 Washington quarter, for example. At first glance, it might seem like just another coin, one of the millions produced that year. But for those in the know, this seemingly simple piece of currency holds incredible value. From hidden errors to its place in the history of U.S. minting, the 1998 Washington quarter is a collector's dream, and it could be worth far more than you ever imagined. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. Designed to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Created by John Flanagan, the coin has always featured Washington's profile on the front, and the reverse side originally displayed an eagle, symbolizing freedom and the strength of the nation. Over time, the design remained relatively unchanged, but small updates were made to keep the coin in line with the evolving aesthetic of U.S. currency. By the time we reached the late 20th century, the Washington quarter had become a staple in American wallets, but its value to collectors was far from over. The 1998 Washington quarter is an interesting year in the coin's long history. While it doesn't have the same level of historical significance as some earlier coins, it marks the continuation of the modern quarter series that began with the introduction of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. However, there is much more to this particular coin than meets the eye, as there are several important factors that contribute to its rarity and value. Especially if you're lucky enough to come across one with certain unique characteristics. One of the most significant factors when it comes to the value of the 1998 Washington quarter is its overall rarity. The U.S. Mint struck millions of these quarters during this year, as they were a standard part of everyday currency. But not all quarters are created equal. As with any year, there are certain varieties and special minting characteristics that can make one quarter much more valuable than another. For example, the mint marks on these quarters can indicate where they were produced. Quarters minted in Denver, marked with a D, are often more highly sought after by collectors compared to those struck in Philadelphia, which do not carry a mint mark. Another factor that can dramatically influence the value of the 1998 Washington quarter is the condition of the coin. Coins that have been circulated extensively are usually in lower grades, meaning they show signs of wear and tear. These coins are typically worth only their face value, or a little more, but collectors are particularly interested in coins that are in pristine condition. If a 1998 quarter is well preserved, it will likely be graded as uncirculated, which indicates that it has never been used in commerce and remains in almost perfect condition. The highest grade versions of the 1998 Washington quarter, those that have been kept in excellent condition, are often graded by third-party services such as the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC). These professional grading companies assign a numerical grade to a coin based on its appearance, luster, and overall quality. A coin in mint state, especially one with a grade of MS 67 or higher, can see a significant increase in its market value. But even more than the grade, there are certain rare varieties that can push the price of a coin like the 1998 Washington quarter into the thousands of dollars. One such rare variety that coin collectors eagerly seek is a coin with a minting error. These coins are extremely rare, and their value often skyrockets due to their uniqueness. While the 1998 Washington quarter wasn't known for any major widespread errors, there have been reports of coins with slight double strikes or minor misalignments of the dies. These errors, although small, can make the coin incredibly valuable, especially if the error is significant enough to make the coin stand out from the rest. Error coins, particularly those with unusual characteristics, are highly sought after because they are one of a kind, making them perfect additions to any coin collection. Another factor to consider is the fact that the 1998 Washington quarter was part of the larger context of the coin series at the time. During the late 1990s, the United States Mint was gearing up for the launch of the 50-state quarters program, which began in 1999. This program, which was one of the most successful in U.S. Mint history, involved the release of 50 different quarter designs, each representing one of the U.S. states. The 1998 quarters were the last of the regular designs before this major shift in the minting process, and collectors consider these final, traditional quarters to be a transitional piece in U.S. coinage. As such, the 1998 Washington quarter holds a special place in the hearts of collectors who are interested in the history of American currency. In addition to the physical condition and minting errors, the story behind the coin itself is what makes it so intriguing. Coins, especially rare ones, tell a story about the time and place in which they were produced. The 1998 Washington quarter was struck during a period of significant technological advancement in the U.S. Mint. By this time, the Mint had adopted sophisticated technology to ensure the coins were made with greater precision than ever before. However, despite these advancements, occasional errors still crept into the minting process, adding to the mystique of the coin. It's these little imperfections and historical moments that make the 1998 Washington quarter so desirable to collectors. Now, the question on everyone's mind: what exactly is the value of the 1998 Washington quarter? While the majority of these coins can be found in your pocket change and are worth only their face value, there are those that stand out due to their condition, rarity, or special characteristics. For the most well-preserved examples, especially those with minting errors or unique qualities, the value can escalate quickly. A 1998 Washington quarter, especially one that has been graded highly and features an error, can sell for a jaw-dropping $33,000. Yes, you heard that right, $33,000 for a single coin that was originally worth just 25 cents. This incredible value is a reflection of the rarity and desirability of these coins. As the years go by, coins like the 1998 Washington quarter become increasingly scarce and pristine condition. Those that were once circulated and used in everyday transactions are now difficult to find in excellent shape, which only adds to the appeal for collectors looking to complete their sets or find a rare treasure. It's also a reminder of how the world of coin collecting can be full of surprises. What may seem like a mundane, everyday coin could turn out to be worth a small fortune. So, what does this mean for you as a collector or someone who is interested in the world of coins? The 1998 Washington quarter is a reminder that every coin has potential value. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, it's important to keep an eye out for coins that might appear ordinary at first but hold hidden worth. The 1998 Washington quarter might not have been one of the most famous coins in U.S. history, but its rarity and unique characteristics have earned it a place among the most valuable quarters of its era. To sum it up, the 1998 Washington quarter might not be on the top of everyone's radar, but for those who know where to look and what to look for, this coin is a true gem. Whether it's the rarity of minting errors, its excellent condition, or its place in the larger story of U.S. coinage, this quarter has the potential to fetch an impressive $33,000 in the right market. So, next time you're going through your change, take a closer look at those quarters. They could be worth much more than you think.